Yes, Lagos, I'm here to remind you that there is still money to be won on Nigeria Info. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, you better listen up now because it's the one play rave and it's still happening here on Nigeria Info. All you have to do is go with 500 naira to the website www.oneplay.ng or just dial the code star 347 star 880 star 3 hash. Pick your station Nigeria Info and follow the information that is given to you. Follow the details back to back, okay? And that's it. Your tickets will be in the draw. Now remember, Lagos, the more you play, the better your chances of winning. No, don't say I didn't tell you. 20,000 naira is going on the Money Crossfire. 20,000 naira in 3 places is going on WhatsApp Lagos. 20,000 naira on Game On Shows. 20,000 naira on the sunny side. That's for weekdays, and weekend people are not left out as well. Okay, you have the Football Frenzy show happening every weekend, and guess what, on Friday there is a jackpot. Oh yes, 50,000 naira for one lucky person. The weekend will be so surfed, you can go and shut down the market if you please. Okay, so playing during the week automatically just qualifies you for that weekly jackpot. All right, and your chances of winning are still the same whether you play on the website, which is www.oneplay.ng, www.1play.ng, or if you don't have a smartphone, doesn't mean you should be smart. Dial the code star 347 star 880 star 3 hash. Now remember to play responsibly, Lagos. If you're under 18, this one is not for you. Don't say that Kemi said. Kemi did not say anything. It's not for you. Go and beat an elderly person to help you play. Okay, One Play is registered trademark under Lasho Trading Services Limited, and they are saying there's money on ground. Now the question is, are you ready to collect it?
There's a reason why over 1 million people tune into Hard Facts every day. We discuss in-depth stories with sources behind the facts.
The Lagos State High Court has suspended the Chicago certificate stories. Never going away, is it? Show with stories for the day.
You hear diverse voices and opinions.
And she was meeting her friend with her husband, knowing that. You should not feel happy because there is nothing to happy about.
Yeah, it's quite pathetic the way the country is going.
We distinguish each story accurately with analysis.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hello, Lagos. Welcome to Balogo and Broad, and this is that segment of the show where we get to talk about the economy, all things business, economy numbers, things that sometimes make my head spin. Well, we're still talking about the end bad governance protest, and in the midst of that, we're looking at the economy. One of the reasons why Nigerians are out there in the streets protesting is hardship, is hunger, is the cost of living, and bad governance, and corruption, and misappropriation of public funds, and the list is endless. But the government has said that they have found some of the real sponsors of the protest. But today we're going to be looking at the sponsors of the real protest, hunger, but the price of gari, rice, beans, and even the commonest things like sugar, eggs. My guest is joining us via Zoom. Ibrahim Babatunde is a senior fellow at Atlas Network, and he's been here before on the show talking about the economy. And so I thought it would be a good idea to have him back on the show. Ibrahim, it's so good to have you join us. I know that you're somewhere in the village, but it's good to have you join us. Good afternoon or good evening.
Thank you, Maryann.
Great. Let's start.
I hope my network.
Yeah, your network is perfect, and we can see you. You look like you're well fed where you are because there's fresh food in the village. Here we're still suffering, and we don't know what we're eating. But let's start with the fact that the cost of living has continuously risen, and it's on the up and up. Even though government is telling us that they're working on it, they're doing everything they can in their power to reduce the cost of living. We've heard the government continuously send trucks of rice to different states, but then the average Nigerian is saying who gets the rice and who doesn't. But from an outsider looking in, what do you think about the state of Nigeria's economy?
First of all, thanks for having me. And it's such. I wish we were talking on a different topic, and rather not on this very sad news in the country. Not only the economic downhill that we've had to endure in the last couple of years, but now with the protests going on, and the fact that there isn't significant attention being paid by the government on the actual questions people are asking. Rather, they are much more concerned about much political stuff. So it's unfortunate. But on your question, the economy is, as we know, it's losing a lot of money due to the protests every day. But even before that, it was already losing a significant amount of money. And I guess for many Nigerians, we cannot, it's not helpful to be talking about the macroeconomic vocabularies at this point. We should be talking about the basics, the price of food, staples, and transportation and healthcare, and the basic needs that people need. And all that, as we know, have significantly skyrocketed in the last few years. And what's much more interesting is that amid all this big inflation rates, it just appears as though government is not doing the basics that needs to be done to cushion it. For example, reducing taxes or levies on certain staples, which will in turn reduce the amount we have to pay in market for, say, for example, bread, or if they reduce the tax on, say, for example, imported beans or some other commodities, those reductions will translate into greater savings on the side of consumers. But we haven't seen that. And instead, almost all food staple has doubled or tripled in price in the last 12 months. So localizing the facts to food alone, we can talk from now till tomorrow. And if you start looking at other sectors of the economy, like, what's it called, the fuel or foreign exchange, nothing seems to be on the positive. Everything just seems to be so hard. And I mean, as I said, we can talk from this about this from now until tomorrow.
Let's talk about the floating of the naira, which a lot of people have fingered as one of the bigger problems. And of course, that statement Mr. President made on the day of his inauguration, the subsidy's gone. Even though petroleum marketers would continuously argue that subsidy is not necessarily really gone, that if it were gone, we'd be buying petrol at 2,000 naira or 2,000 naira plus. But then the government had promised us that if they take out subsidy, the monies that they used to spend before on subsidies would be put into other aspects of the economy to grow it. But a year plus down the line, that's not been the case. And every day we're being told to tighten our belts until maybe sometime in the future we might not have waists to wear that belt. Let's talk about sincerity here, or purpose on the part of government. Before the president came into power, for almost a whole year, the NNPC did not remit any monies into the federal government coffers. And the Buhari administration, just before it went out, did not also make any provisions in the budget for subsidy, which is the offshoot of the whole wahala, let me use that term, that we're facing. Where do we even begin to address these issues? Because again, if we look at it, government is grabbing at all points, but then we do not know where the solution is going to come from.
I mean, that's true. I was just looking at a news headline before we came on from this statement alluded to the finance minister, Wale Edun, and he just mentioned that Nigeria spent about $600 million on fuel importation. Can you imagine that? And this is after the whole brouhaha regarding the Dangote refinery, the whole promise of we're going to get our own refineries and there'll be significant reduction in price of fuel and importation and whatnot. But we're still spending that much. It's just insane. And since the removal of subsidy, as you said, it just seems as though it was just removed on paper, and some people are still benefiting from it. And it's also looks like the whole removal is not translating into significant reduction in prices. What the president promised us was that once subsidy is gone, he's going to have enough money to fund other aspects of the economy, like education, like healthcare, like transportation, so that we wouldn't feel as though we've lost. But as you know, none of those things have actually transpired. If anything at all, the price of everything has almost tripled. So then the question we need to ask is, was it beneficial to remove the subsidy? or do we even need to bring it back? And of course, I do not agree about bringing it back. And many sane economists wouldn't even agree with that. But the point here is that the removal of the subsidy is pointing to one thing, that the corruption that we thought was crazy before is actually much more deeper. Because if you remove subsidy and you're supposedly saving billions in naira, then what are those billions of naira? It means some people are actually sitting on them, and the subsidy or the amount we're supposed to be saving and actually getting into where they're supposed to be going to. I mean, that's the only sane explanation. Because if you remove subsidy and be saving money, the question is, where is the money? This is the time we need the money. We're asking people to endure austerity measure because that's just what subsidy is. Remove it, you are cutting on government spending. Look at the ministries. We have 46
but is
ministries.
government spending really being cut? I mean, you obviously are privy to information that's coming out of Nigeria with our budgets and the monies that have been allocated, crazy amounts of monies, and our debt profile as a country.
Exactly. I mean, I say we have 46 ministries. I don't think anything has been cut since the whole austerity measure thing. If you want to really cut spending, you start with government spending. Instead, Maryann, I think I saw somewhere earlier in the year that about the whole National Assembly and state assemblies are going to be spending something in the region of, is it 700 plus billion naira, 724 billion naira in National Assembly and state assembly budget alone. The question we need to ask ourselves is, how much are we even budgeting for education in a whole year? Or how much are we budgeting for healthcare in a whole year that we can afford the luxury of pampering our ministers and senators ministers and House of Reps by using 724 billion naira? That's so exorbitant. And if you look back in 2018, National Assembly budget was only $139 billion. In 2019, I think it was about 125. And in 2023, it was 228 billion. So it seems as though we just are talking about austerity measure as though it's only a burden that the poor has to carry, and the rich and the people in power are not really concerned, because that's simply what it looks like now.
What I mean, I thought to myself when I saw the likes of Wale do on the ticket for the guys who were going to be put in certain ministries. I was excited. I was excited for. What's the other guy's name? I was really excited with Cardoso at the central bank, and I really was hoping for the positives. But here we are, you and I here, August of 2024, we're talking about policies that had been made since last year that have not in any way helped the average person. And you rightly said that it looks like this austerity is only for the poor person and not government officials. At some point, we did hear where senators decided that they were going to not take home their salaries, and we're going to slash it by 50% as an act of, solidarity to Nigerians for, the kind of hunger or the type of hardship that we're enduring. But is that enough? Again, the picture that our leaders are painting to us, does it seem to any one of us, especially you who's watching from the outside, that there is an end in sight or a solution whatsoever?
I mean, we both know that's not true. If you really want to be sincere with the people, you don't only purportedly cut your own salaries. You fix loopholes where the money has so much leaking. You look at the budget of the National Assembly, it's a massive loophole. That's different from the salary they are taking home. It's different from how much the ministries are spending. As I said, we have 46 ministries. Each of those ministries have deputies and essays, and each essay is an assistant. And you calculate the amount of money those ministries are eating each year. Those are massive amounts of money. And it's not like we have this money somewhere sitting down. You look at how much we spend, significant of those money are coming from borrowings, from Chinese loan, from World Bank and IMF loans. We are pretty much elevating our debt profile. It's almost unbearable. It means when the next government comes in, they're gonna tell you the same story, that they've been spending money on servicing debt. They don't have much more money. They have to go and borrow, and you don't have to blame them. Blame the previous government, just like this Tinubu government is saying we should blame the Buhari government or the government of the PDP before that. But enough of all those nonsense. 88% of our people are self-employed. It means that whatever you have is a small austerity measure is going to hit people so hard. but it's also a good avenue for government to have pro-people policy. If you have 8% of your people in the informal economy, it means doing simple things like reducing taxes or levies on small and medium enterprises can actually help people. But instead, even though we have the largest informal economy in sub-Saharan Africa, we have an insane amount of personal income tax, 24%. That is different from the amount of tax you have to pay as a sole proprietor, as an entrepreneur, self-employed person to your state government. It's different from the local area boys money levies and all that, and the local government taxes.
Which has become a necessity.
Exactly. It's too many money being taken out of the pocket of the poor people. And it just seems as though this whole idea of austerity measure is just on the paper to say Nigeria is doing something when in fact it's not translating to any reduction in price of goods or the amount of money people are taking home.
Is it about the people that we have in those offices who are supposed to steer the economy? Because Mr. President put together a tripartite economic team, aside from the National Economic Council, which is all normally headed by the Vice President at any point. And these guys are the big business moguls, the likes of Dangote or Tedola, Tony Elumalus of this world. And one would have thought that by now they could have come up with ideas, even though they were also criticized by many, saying that these guys are only there for their personal interest because they're businessmen, not necessarily experts at how to, change or, handle the economy. So is it really about the people, the likes of the Waleduns and Kadosos, or is it about the system, the rot in the system? What exactly is the challenge? Because that's what the average Nigerian is asking. If we have these smart guys, we have these intelligent guys that are touted to know their job or know their onion, why are we still in this quagmire?
See, the reason why we are here is exactly because of what you just said. We have those people in power, not because they are the best brains we have. They are only there because of the whole sacrifice they made for the ABC government in getting into power. Plain and simple.
But I don't want to believe that. I don't want to believe that Iwaledu is purely a politician as opposed to a man who should be able to, steer our economy in the right direction. I also don't want to believe that a Cardoso is just a bloody politician as opposed to a man who's smart enough to deal with the CBN.
We both know those people are politicians as much as they're supposed to be experts in their field. But there is no convincing that those are the best finance people we have in our country, even in the diaspora. But the point here is that even if they are the best brains, they've been in power for how many years now? Over a year.
A year and some months, yes.
Exactly. And you've had all that time to play with different policies. And you have nothing to show for it but an escalated inflation, a super deflated and super devalued currency that is almost useless now, and an economy that is almost going to be gone to a level where we can actually resuscitate it within a year. And we're going to need some massive help from the World Bank and the IMF yet again, which is something we don't want to actually do. But the point here is that those people in power, the people appointed as ministers or to steer the whole economic reforms are not really doing something significant in terms of positive result. When you hire a football coach, you're not hiring them because of the big names or whatnot. It's about the result. And if we are not seeing the result translating into reduction in prices or reduce inflation rates, then I don't really think people deserve to be commended.
I need you to hold that thought. Ibrahim, I need you to hold that thought. We have to go on a quick break. When we come back, Ibrahim Babatunde is our guest, and we're talking about the state of the economy post-protest, because, of course, some places the protest has stopped, but in some places, like I see in Kaduna, the protest is still on. We'll be right back. It's still Balogun and Broad, 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Stories that matter to you from across the street to across the globe.
There was a general complaint of voter apathy. What do you think was responsible for that?
This man is telling America, you so close of hush puppy, you do this, so you close, also you deputy inspector general police. What a shame.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
More talk, news and sports after this. This is a public service announcement. The moment you didn't know you've been waiting for is here. GT Co is offering shares to the public. From Monday 15th July 2024 to August 12th 2024, you have the opportunity to own shares of GT Co PLC when you apply to the GT Co public offering of 9 billion ordinary shares at 44 naira 50 kobo per share. This means that at 44 naira 50 kobo per share, you can now share in our vision and own shares of GT Co PLC. To apply, simply go to the GT Co website at www.gtcoplc.com or visit any GT Bank branch nationwide or any receiving agent listed in the offer prospectus. Offer is open from 15th July to August 12th, so don't delay. Apply now to own shares of GT Co. GT Co. Proudly African, truly international.
Tell me which kind thing Viva no fi wash away, 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 away. Jenna tomato paste, the coffee stain your body. Viva go wash away, 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 away. Chicken eat for your clothes, now all you need for Viva to wash away, 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 away. Eh, gentle for your pocket, gentle for your hand. Oh my Viva, you couldn't make you shine. Oh Viva, Viva. Oh yo yo, I love my Viva, oh Viva. Oh yo yo, Uncle say bye bye to a very tough stage, yo. Oh yo yo, Mama say bye bye to any kind stage, yo. Oh yo yo, oh Viva, Viva. Oh yo yo, I love my Viva, Viva. Oh yo yo.
My guy, how far now? Oh boy, network no allow me run transfer give my mama. Since morning, only one bar. Can you imagine? I beg, hotspot me now.
No be Union Bank account you dey use.
Yes, now Union Bank.
Now, just dial *826# and you go fit send the bar without data.
You walk oh.
Before encore, now you no get updates now.
Take advantage of the seamless *826# USSD. Pay bills, send money, buy airtime, and even generate the pay code and PIN for cardless withdrawals. Embrace data-free banking today. Dial *826# to get started. Available to new and existing customers. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
Hold up. Everyone wanted in on all the exclusive footage and gist on BB Niger. We got you. The buzz is back. Back to following all the gossip, breakups, breakdowns. Back to giving us spicy banter, bigger secrets, and inside scoops from the BB Niger house. Follow me. Follow me on BB Niger, The Buzz, streaming every Thursday on Showmax. Subscribe only from 1,600 naira. Sign up now at showmax.com. No lose guard.
Here you go, dear.
Mom, you didn't add milk.
No need to. Taste it and see why.
Wow, but how?
Is it milky?
Very.
Is it creamy?
Yes.
That's Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy for you. It's so milky. I don't need to add more milk.
I love it, Mommy.
Give your kids the new Milo 3-in-1. Milky and creamy. It's truly milky. It contains calcium to help your champ win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo! Oh, lunch. Guys, I'm going for lunch. Please, put more stew. Nice meal. My chest.
Suffering from heartburn and indigestion? Try Just Eat. Just Eat is a brand of aluminium and magnesium hydroxide and simethicone. Just Eat is available in suspension and tablets. Remedy for heartburn, indigestion, flatulence, and acidity.
Jested, now available in new packs. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please see your doctor. Read leaflet inside.
Make una listen well oh. Access Holdings, they move to the next level and they won't make you follow them enjoy the waka with their right issue. From 8th of July to 14th of August, then they offer new shares for 19 naira 75 kobo each. If you be shareholder, now your chance to get one extra share for every 2 shares where you own. Make you no do yourself oh. Hurry, go www.theaccesscorporation.com for the full story, including the right circular, the people where they sell the shares, the bank where they collect, and our legal advisors them. Access Holdings, where financial solutions they connect the world.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Get breaking news, updates, and the best of talk.
Women have to work twice, even thrice as hard for them to get things that just come so naturally to a lot of men who feel that leadership is their right.
We're in prisons for how many years? For 6 years, 8 months. Were you going to court from prisons then? Yes, but before I started court, it took me 2 years. Just being in prison? Yes. Without your case even start at all? Confinement. You were there? Yeah.
Here on your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Yes, we're back. It's still Balogun and Broad on Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We still have Ibrahim Babatunde with us. We're looking at the state of the economy. Even though the protests seem to have simmered down, yes, but has anything really changed? The president addressed the country, were promises made. Half the time the president told us what he was doing. But has anything really changed? And is there any end in sight in terms of our suffering and the hardship that Nigerians are having to endure? And the question I asked before we started this conversation was, for those of you who go to the market every day, have you experienced any changes? Have the prices of things reduced somewhat? With the president saying that they're going to relax on certain taxes on importation, have you seen that? For those of you who have to import things into the country, like Rapuruchuku, has there been any change in those areas? That's what I want to hear from you guys. So join the conversation. The phone lines are open. 0201-277-0993. That's for the men. For the ladies, 0201-465-7190. If you are joining the conversation, we're live on YouTube and on Facebook. It's Nigeria Info FM. If you're listening from outside of the country, you can join us via Skype. We're Nigeria Info FM. Or better still, you can join the conversation on WhatsApp. It's 080-959-75805. I'd like to quickly take some of your thoughts, and then, of course, my guests will come back into the conversation. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hi, Maryann.
Yes.
Mrs. Oboli.
Go ahead.
Okay. I don't think I've really seen a change in price because I was still at the market recently. The only thing I noticed is Gary, and so you have, depending on the quality you're buying, there's a bit of a slash. But depending on quality, so you may as well go for the lower quality and take in sand in a bit to buy the lower quality.
Oh wow!
But I want to ask your guest a question this evening. Is it that this government is bereft of ideas on how to move this nation forward, food-wise, or it's intentionally weaponizing poverty and hunger in a bid to enslave its masses? We talk of fuel reduction. They gave us rice. Solve insecurity, they gave us rice. Cut cost of governance, they gave us rice. We said, why are you buying jets? We are hungry, they gave us rice. Protest, they said rice again, 40,000, they're slashing it down. Is rice our problem, Maryann? Are rice or compatriots? Is that the problem? Okay. Or is it that they're just purposely doing this? That's my question.
Thank you very much for calling. Ibrahim, would you mind responding to Mrs. Oboli? I mean, I know you're not a member of the government. Yes. You're not in the cabinet, but yeah.
Yeah. See, it's really unfortunate. But I mean, when she was just talking, it struck a really personal chord, because again, I think one of my colleagues in Ibadan recently told me that the Minister of Power is from Ibadan, and when the whole crisis happened, guess what the Minister of Power was saying? Distributing rice as though rice is going to fix everything. But again, I think it goes back to my initial point that first, we do not have the right experts in right places. You might argue against that, but I believe these are not the best brains. So when we have problems like, say, for example, insecurity, as the woman said, and you're giving people rice, and we have a problem about the high cost of living, it's the same solution. It means people probably do not know what they're doing. The second reason is that people are simply not honest. It's not the case that they do not have enough enough money to, for example, cushion the economy at this critical time. But it's just that many of those money are actually going to the wrong places. Over bloated government spending not actually reducing, we're not cutting spending in the right places. We are asking the people to persevere more than we are asking ourselves as elites or politicians to persevere. So when dishonesty is mixed with lack of having the appropriate expertise, what you're going to have is a disaster, and that's what we're having right now.
When the president addressed Nigerians on Sunday at 7 a.m., he mentioned that he's disbursing 570 billion to the 36 states across the federation. But then what that message fell short of was exactly what those monies were going to be used. In his words, I'd like to, exactly say what the nomenclature was given. What also the message did not do was to tell us exactly how those monies were going to be spent and if there was going to be some sort of monitoring of how these monies were going to be used. In fact, it was termed as livelihood fund. They said it was monies that, let me read it according to the message of Mr. President. More than 570 billion naira has been released to 36 states to expand livelihood support to their citizens, while 600,000 nano businesses have benefited from our nano grants. An additional 400,000 more nano businesses are expected to benefit. What do you think that is? I mean, because the president is saying 570 billion. Should we be looking? Should we be dragging our governors by their t-shirts?
I think we've had state governors in the past tell us that whenever the federal government make this kind of statement, we need to first of all ask the federal government, which of the state government are they giving money and when did they send those money? Because I won't be surprised if the state governors say they haven't gotten the money or they are not aware of that. That's one. The second thing is that if we look at the recent history of these kinds of distribution, if you ask the federal government, you challenge them to bring out the list of the people that have benefited, it's definitely going to be people who have done their political biddings, people that belong to their political constituency, and that is not actually no surprise. And when you even talk about the nano businesses, what kind of businesses are you talking about? Are you talking about businesses of a certain category, or because it just seems as though we have all the statistics and all these reports coming out, and nobody has come out and say, I'm one of those 600,000 businesses that benefited from the federal government's aid or loan or whatever. So it seems as though these are numbers that are pretty much either propaganda, overbloated, or they're actual real numbers that only affected or benefited people who are close to the ruling party. Because we haven't seen people say they benefited from this nano business relief or this 570 billion that is going to be promised to state governors. And state governors themselves are not even clean in this whole debacle, because they also have monies that are supposed to go into alleviating cushioning the economy at this critical point. And we haven't seen significant statements coming from the state governors. All we are looking forward to is the federal government, as though the federal government is the only government in the country. When in fact, state governors are supposed to be the first aid. They're supposed to be the first cater of cushioning when it comes to issues like this. So
I love how you've addressed that, because I had the National Deputy Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party here on the show yesterday. And as much as, of course, the PDP is the opposition, they will criticize Mr. President and his administration. But I did ask a question. There are 13 states, of course, that are being ruled by the PDP. Can we put this only at the feet of Mr. President? Because we saw a lot of states in the north go haywire. And I asked the question that could it also be that there's bad governance in those states which have led to the people reacting in the way and manner that they have reacted?
You're 100% correct. That is the problem. Why haven't you seen in the past people turn up in the north as they've turned up recently? Part of the reason is because it's much more dire now. You cannot tell me the amount of people you've seen in the streets in Kaduna is only as a consequence of the high prices in rice and water alone. People are actually responding to other stuff or other issues that are actually caused or neglected by the state governance. So that's why I say We can, and of course, we have the absolute right to question Mr. President's policies. But the state governors themselves, they are not innocent in this case. They can't just sit behind the desk and wait for President Tinubu to be the only steer or the captain in this case. They have primary responsibility to their people. They have, if you look at the budget of this state, there are aspects of those budgets that are specifically for moments like this. For the emergency management authorities or for the Ministry of Public Welfare, what are those ministries doing? The monies that they've been budgeting for the last 2 years, where are those monies? Where have they gone in the state budget? So we need to ask the governors the same question as much as we're asking the federal government.
Interesting. Well, the phone lines are still open, Lagos. I've got 10 minutes on the clock. I want to take more of your thoughts and your comments. Call 0201 277 0993 for the men. For the women, 0201 465 7190. And if you are listening to us from outside of the country, join us via Skype. We are Nigeria Info FM on Skype. I think Skype is okay. It's coming right up. So you can join us on Skype now. Skype is on. Go ahead and call. Let's hear your thoughts. Somebody says, my question is, there's no change in the price of food items, rather increase. I bought a pack of spaghetti last week at 1,800, but on Monday it's now 18,000. You said that's a carton, you mean? But Monday it is now 18,700, and other items too. He says, my question is, why are we still having fuel scarcity despite subsidy being gone, with the promise by the president that there won't be any scarcity again? That question is obviously for the government, not for Babatunde. Another person here says things have gotten more worse. Fuel is still 800 upwards. Transportation has gone up. Tinubu's minister said Tinubu had reversed to the old tariff. I loaded my card. Is now a new price. Someone here says, with the kind of people appointed by the man in power, most of which have questionable past, corruption cases, and blurry last dealings, where does the hope come from? What stimulates or gives hope of a light at the end of the tunnel? This is Ndefreke from Itire. Another person here says, my name is Samson from Ikorodu. No more changes in the market for now. Thank you very much for your message. All right. This one says, this message, it says, any president who comes on board always holds on to critical sectors, power and petroleum. Subsidy money most probably shared among governors and their lackeys for jets and yachts, accruing to many an impoverished future. David from Irawo. Let me take some calls quickly. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
Good evening to your guest. This is Pastor Ladipo, calling from Morilegum.
All right.
Maryann, there is no change yet in the market. And one of the major causes is still this middle non-tax people that have been collecting tax. The so-called area boys who we have eventually, like in part of Lagos today, it's like they have been legalized. It's like they have been fully established. So when you buy the goods, no matter the amount you buy, they are there waiting for you to collect the money. And it seems everybody is turning blind eye to it, like they are giving returns to either the people in authority allegedly. So for me, the price has not changed. Nothing has changed yet. So this one they keep throwing rice at us. I hope we will not end up with Kwashoko. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. I do appreciate it. 0201 277 0993, 0201 465 7190. On WhatsApp, it's 0809 75805. We're having a downtime. In case you're trying to call us via Skype, it's not going through because we're having an internet downtime. Unfortunately, our internet is giving us some wahala. It's been that way all through today, but you can go call us via telephone. Our Skype callers, we apologize. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please turn off your radio.
Yeah, I've done that.
Go ahead.
My name is Jumoke. I'm calling from Ajak.
Sorry, Jumoke, where are you calling us from?
Ajak.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So the thing is, everybody keeps saying he's throwing rice. Shana rice where you see go give you kwashoko. Who has actually gotten the rice?
Some people have. Mrs. Oboli has gotten rice before.
Oh, that's interesting.
Palesi, it was sent to her house.
Okay, that's interesting. I just wanted to know if people are actually getting this rice that the president seems to be throwing everywhere. Yeah, we're not seeing. Well, that's just my take for this evening.
All right.
Thank you so much, Maryann. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much, Jumoke. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. As much as many people, Ibrahim, are saying they haven't seen it, because you posed that question. Yes, when these things are sent to states, how many people, the real people who need it, how many of them get access to it? Because, of course, they will say that they're sending it to the poorest of the poor. So excluding you and I, who still have to pay exorbitantly for some of the things in the market, and our take-home pay no longer takes us home. How do we, the people, determine, or rather make sure that these things get to those who need it and deserve it the most? At this point, we're all poor. I don't know about you, but me too, I'm needy.
Don't be like. So the thing is, we just be pretty much not honest in this country, because if people are honest, we're not gonna be where we are. How those rights will get to the hands of people that want them, I have. So one thing I have an idea of is that we just have to tell ourselves the honest truth. If the government's not going to tell us the honest truth, and the honest truth is that things will get worse before it gets better. And this is pure statistics. At this point, I think about 89 million of us are impoverished. 89 million, the UK's population is just 66 million. I think Canada is like 39 million. So you cannot take 89 million people out of poverty overnight in 1 year, in 2 years. China did a miracle. It didn't happen until about 10, 20 years. So just to be honest with ourselves, there will still be impoverishment. And the inflation rate that we've seen jump from like 16% in 2022 to like 34% now, it's not going to go down overnight. It's not going to go down in 1 year. The last time we were here, it was 1996 when it was like 44% inflation. So if the government is not going to tell us, we need to tell ourselves, inflation will not go down to a significant amount of reduction until maybe a year or two after now. And also, the growth rate of the economy is not going to go any remarkably or magically up, because I think it was like 3% or 3.3% in 2022 and just like 2.9. It went back in 2023. So all these statistics shows us that we shouldn't be too hopeful that something magical will happen overnight. If the government eventually starts to know what they are doing, that will still have to persevere some more, but with the right policies, things will start getting better gradually. But again, it starts with being honest.
They're still talking about honesty, because I'm just re-echoing what my callers would say on a normal day. You're asking people to be patient and that things will turn around in the closest future. But they are also watching you in their patience spend their monies recklessly and live, happily and largely on monies that we barely have. So are you sure that their patience is not going to wane?
I mean, we've already seen that. And the crazy thing is that it just seems as though there's an arrogance with the people leading us, that they just think Nigeria will always be perfect. People will only go to the street, and when they're tired, they go back home. It seems they're not following this trend in Africa and elsewhere across the world. I do not wish what is happening in Bangladesh happen in Nigeria. I do not wish what happened in Kenya happens here, even though it's getting there a little bit. But people have to be less arrogant and know that if they do not change course, if they do not put pro-people policies in place, cut spending themselves, and be humble, that Nigeria could possibly, and God forbid, go into crazy places we don't even want to see. We're already seeing people raising Russian flags in the north. I mean, what is the meaning of that? So I think it's just pretty much an arrogance in the people leading us that just think, once we just, tell them, go back home, and this is sponsored by political agencies, they'll eventually go home. But we need to be honest. We need to be less arrogant and face the issue head on with good amounts of policies that will not only help the poor become less poor, but cut government spending.
Well, I have 3 minutes on the clock, Lagos. Join the conversation. I want to hear your thoughts. On WhatsApp, it's 0809597585. You could join the conversation on 0201-277-0993. That's for the men. For the women, it's 0201-465-7190. And on our live feed, you are allowed to post your comments and your questions. We'd like to hear from you. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Maryann.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Christian Agazelu are coming from Mexico.
Christian, go ahead, please.
Maryann, you know the worst part of all these things? The president thinks that Nigerians are Alamajiris.
How do you mean?
He thinks that we are beggars. We are people you can just tell, go home. I will give you palliative of rice. I will give you this. Just like people congregate in his home, a body lawn, begging for food. That is just exactly what he thought all Nigerians are. We go to his house every morning, they congregate, they beg for food, he come and he gives them arms, and everybody goes. Nigeria has passed that limit. Nigeria has passed that limit.
Okay.
We don't need palliatives again. We don't need it. What we need is good governance. He is living large. He has a yacht. He has a private jet. He has so many things he's living on.
He doesn't own them. Those things are accorded.
Why did it
Hold on. Those things are accorded to the office of the president. They're not his personal property.
Got all those things. You know the situation we in. Say he tell us to tight our belt, Abi. Then he can lose his own belt. But he asked us to tight our belt. That he feel our pains.
Okay.
But he's losing his own belt. He's living large. The wife, the family, everybody is living large. And Nigerians, see, this is the beginning of Kenya. Okay. With small case waiting to happen.
Okay, we're really hoping that we don't get to that point. Thank you very much for calling. Someone here says, please, someone is saying that you are an APC apologist. They think that you're supporting the... Well, okay. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Someone says, how can we demand accountability from our governors that are collecting huge allocation from the center? What are the governors doing? They are closer to the people. This is a question that I already asked if you were listening. Another person here says, everything that is happening now in the protest was predicted by the government and military, including external influence. So I won't be wrong if I say they are behind the thuggery and Russian flag as tactics to end the protest prematurely. Chief Udo sent us that one. I don't know if that's a thing that you can put out there. This one says, will Nigerians ever be good? Honestly, for me, I don't think so. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bad-mouthing Nigeria, but it's just a fact. Anyemeke from Satellite Town sent us that one. I can take one last call before I let you go, Ibrahim. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Apologies, do call us back if that was you. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
My name is Emperor Michael. I'm calling from Lagos.
Go ahead. You have 60 seconds.
Yeah. I also extend my greetings to your guest.
Okay.
I thank him. I mean, and the many voices that are speaking out against what we have. Considering the situation in the country now. But I think that in instances like this, we should try to be more circumspect, particularly when we are making or giving responses to questions such like the ones that was raised by one of the guests, particularly around the honesty of government, around the 570 billion that was distributed to states. I would have hoped that he would have taken the lifeline you gave when you asked if he was going to just take a pass on that. Because, responses or reactions such as we are not sure whether the state governments are getting them or whether they are going to cronies of state governments would not give some credibility to our agitations. I think it's still left for us as a citizenry and as the populace to make our governors
I'm so sorry. In 10 seconds, I need to go.
Make our governors accountable for these funds that are released to them. I'm very sure if they didn't release these funds, most of the governors will have come out, will have denied it, and we will be able to know that it's probably rules.
I totally agree with you. And that's why tomorrow on A's and Nays, we're going to have someone from Tracker with budget. So we're going to follow the money. Government has said that the president has said these monies have been sent. We need to be able to track those monies, and Tracker is going to be helping us with that. Ibrahim Babatunde is with Atlas Network. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Ibrahim. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent. Thank you for being on the show this evening.
Thank you, Maryann. It was a pleasure.
All right. Well, Lagos, we'll go on a break. And when we come back, the news at the top of the hour with Yvonne Ohaifo. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. My name is Maryann Okon. I'll see you tomorrow on Thursday.
Career Info. We'll be right back.
The Access Holdings rights issue is now open. For every 2 ordinary shares in your portfolio, take advantage of the chance to acquire one more at 19 naira 75 kobo each between July 8th to August.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.